All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Tonight we're talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They went 3-0 in preseason, and they look spectacular. This team seriously looks so freaking good, and I know it's preseason, but still, all sides of the football, offense, defense, special teams, all three games, they were on point. It's starting with Kenny Pickett, but it's not just Kenny. It was a night and day difference from last year's preseason to this year's preseason in every way, shape, and form. But Kenny Pickett was leading the way. He had a phenomenal preseason, 13 of 15 for a completion percentage of 86.7%, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for a perfect rating of 158.3. Now, people like to say, oh, it's preseason, but I will say that is a lot better than, say, a 57% completion percentage, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and just 50 passing yards. You're going to take the good preseason over the bad preseason, right? Any day of the week. But we're going to run through everything and why this Pittsburgh Steelers team is going to win easily over 10 games this upcoming season. They're going to be a force not only for this year, but for many seasons to come. And I know we want to ease the roll. The Kool-Aid looks good. It tastes good. We want to ease our expectations. But nonetheless, the Pittsburgh Steelers are ready. And we're going to talk about exactly why in tonight's video. But before we do, if you guys enjoy it, be sure to hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. I post a bunch of Steelers videos every single week. I appreciate and love you guys so much. You've completely changed my life, completely changed this channel. And I cannot wait to cover this team in the regular season. Let's try and get 500 likes on tonight's video. That would mean the absolute world to me. So to Kenny's credit, the offensive line has been a huge improvement, and this was a big point of emphasis at this time last year. The offensive line was extremely shaky. We didn't really know what the offense was going to look like. We knew Trubisky was going to be the starter for some weird reason, but the offensive line was so shaky. They did get so much better by the time the regular season ends, but we saw new additions with Isaac Seumalo and left tackle Broderick Jones. Whether or not he's going to be a day one starter, they got a dog in Broderick Jones at left tackle out of Georgia. So offensive line, I love it, and it's just going to make Kenny Pickett's job that much easier. We just want to see improvements this upcoming season, and we've seen they talked about the deep ball in practice, in training camp. We heard it from Kenny Pickett. We heard it from George Pickens. We've heard it from so many of these Steelers offensive players, how much they want to take more deep shots. And we saw that with Kenny Pickett and the first stringers in preseason. It was awesome, spectacular. This past, Thursday night, he was throwing them all over the place. And I get it. People are saying the Falcons secondary, it's all backups. The whole Falcons team was backups. You still got to make the throw. You still got to make the catch. And that's what it came down to at the end of the day. We want to see execution, and that's exactly what we saw. So there is nothing to complain about. And by the way, no Steelers fans were complaining that the Falcons, that it was going up against second stringers. It was the rest of the NFL media. The running back room is loaded. Najee Harris, he had a good camp. He had a great preseason, but Jaylen Warren had an even better preseason. The dude absolutely lit it up. He only had 6 attempts. He had 89 yards. It's averaging about 15 yards per rush and 2 touchdowns, including the 62-yard touchdown run. But Anthony McFarland, something there, especially special teams. He's got a lot of pop. We talked about his pop all summer. 22 attempts, 75 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. As an RB3, you're pretty deep at the running back room. All right, let's talk about the receiving core, because this is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers' bread and butter this upcoming season. We saw, first off, Deontay Johnson, George Pickens, they did great jobs, along with Pat Freiermuth. Allen Robinson also caught a couple of balls, but George Pickens had that crazy catch against Atlanta the other night, which was a crazy throw as well by Kenny Pickett. But the guy to watch is Calvin Austin III. Calvin Austin III had that phenomenal first preseason game. Ended preseason with 4 catches, 93 yards, and a touchdown. The important statistic here is 23 yards per catch. Now, that is not going to be sustainable for an entire regular season, but nonetheless, Calvin Austin III missing his entire rookie season. There was a lot of hype last year when he was drafted, and a lot of hype this year before preseason, and it came true. But especially in the special teams, we saw Calvin Austin return 5 punts for 107 yards. That is over 20 yards per return. He also had a long of 54. We talked about it in that Falcons video. He will run one back. If he is the punt returner to start off the regular season, he will run one back in the first 6 weeks of the regular season. Even if he doesn't, he's going to get a lot of them close. But just the fact that he's getting a first down, he's getting 2 first downs per punt return in preseason, that is certainly something to build off of. And then finally, to talk about the tight ends, I did wish we saw a little bit more Darnell Washington in the passing game, but we didn't really see too much work from the tight ends, I guess, in general. From Pat Freiermuth did have that nice touchdown, only finished with 2 catches, 31 yards. This is the first stringer. But Darnell Washington, the specimen, the physical specimen that they drafted, only 2 catches, 15 yards. He is going to definitely have a role in his rookie season, specifically with blocking, because he is a freaking dog. So offensively, man, you're firing on all cylinders. And I'll talk about the defense in a second here. I don't have concerns defensively. They were a great defensive unit last year without their best defensive player. TJ Watt, we saw the other night. The dude's a stud. The dude will always be a stud. We'll talk about the defense in a second, but the big question marks for Pittsburgh were Kenny Pickett, Matt Canada, and this offense. I do want to say I was not a problem with Matt Canada's. I mean, it's preseason, but I like jet sweeps with guys like Calvin Austin III. I think you really have to, and Matt Canada, this is going to make his job a whole lot easier because this is the big year for him. Calvin Austin III running and receiving. We saw it in the first preseason game, and we saw all the time at Memphis. There is something there. There is certainly something there, and I know Matt Canada is licking his chops with that speed on the offensive side. So could you ask for more? I really don't think you could have asked for more because all the question marks were offensively, and I saw exactly what I needed to see. Defensively, the first stringers did a great job. I mean, they did a phenomenal job, but I want to talk about some of these rookies. Joey Porter Jr. getting an interception the other day. He's had a good camp. He's had a good preseason. Keanu Benton, Nick Herbig, the 2 rookies. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh my freaking gosh. Specifically to Nick Herbig, 3.5 sacks and a forced fumble. This dude's slated to come off of the bench. He's going to be coming off of the bench. This Steelers defense is a unit. Cameron Hayward, he had a really solid preseason. In my opinion, TJ Watt, obviously, only playing all these guys playing very limited, the non-rookies, the non-second years, but TJ Watt looks dominant. Cameron Hayward looks dominant. I like the linebackers. I like the secondary. I actually love the secondary. I love the defensive line. I love the Steelers defense. They're going to be so good. They're going to be between 5 and 10. And if some of those guys, like if Keanu Benton, Nick Herbig, Joey Porter Jr., if these guys did what they did in preseason, they will 100% be closer to the top defenses in the league than, like top 10, to 12. Like, I don't even think they'll sniff a defensive rank of that. Now, statistics can only go so far, but the eye test does not fail. And this team, starters, secondary, special teams, offense, defense, doesn't matter. You can pinpoint anything. And I think there were nothing but positives for this Steelers team in preseason. So altogether, man, you are rolling. Got to get it started. I mean, you got to do it in the regular season, but I'm licking my chops with the Pittsburgh Steelers regular season schedule. It's going to start off at home against San Francisco. If Pittsburgh wins that game, watch the F out, NFL. Even if they don't, watch out. But still, you get my point. That's it for tonight, man. Hit that like button, hit that sub button for daily NFL content. But guys, give me a grade on the Pittsburgh Steelers preseason. I'm going to give it an A+. I'm giving it an A+. I don't care what anyone says. It's an A+ to me. Let me know what you're thinking down